Fox Sports.
We are Black Horse. We are Minnesota.
Fourth of July weekend continues at Target Field as the Twins and Rangers resume their three-game series. Texas took the series opener last night. Minnesota looks to bounce back this afternoon. The Rangers bring with them the best record in the American League, second best record overall in baseball at 52-29. Amazingly, this team made a 21-game improvement last year. They're on pace to improve by 16 more this season. A big reason for it, their ability to win the close ones, including last night's game here in Minneapolis. The Rangers, a league best 18-6 in one-run ball games. This afternoon in the second game of the series, Chichi Gonzalez will go for the Rangers, making just his second start of the year. He was roughed up by the Yankees the first time out. And Tyler Duffey, who beat the Yankees in his last start, will try to build off 8 very good innings in the Bronx as he takes to the mound at home here this afternoon. With Tim Laudner, I'm Anthony LaPanta. One of the big challenges for Tyler Duffey will be to find a way to slow Ian Desmond. He's been one of the hottest hitters in baseball, and he's at his best right now.
He swung a very hot bat for the Rangers last night. Ian Desmond is the guy that did not have a job halfway through spring training. And what's he doing right now? Well, he's hitting about 320 with 15 home runs and over 50 RBIs. Last night, a double off the right field wall later on in the ball game. A game-deciding home run. This is a pitch by Abad. A little bit too much of the plate. Ian Desmond shows off his power, deposits that into the right field seats, Anthony.
Desmond's numbers are significant. There are only 5 players in baseball right now who have averages over 300, at least 10 home runs, and at least 10 stolen bases. Desmond's on a career best pace for runs scored. He's producing runs from near the top of the Ranger lineup. How would you get him out tonight?
Well, there's such a thing, Anthony, as a scouting report and a scouting report right now. When you see him take those balls the other way, especially balls on the inside half of the plate, he's stepping in the bucket and he's got enough power to get him out of there. So what do? Don't pitch him inside. Spin the ball up there. Never give in to him in certain situations, the scouting report would say. Prince Fielder and Adrian Beltre are the guys that you have to get out if you're going to beat this ball club. Ian Desmond just went past those guys to the top of the list.
Desmond's home run was the difference last night for the Rangers. Tyler Duffey and the Twins will try and slow him down today. We'll have the scouting report on the Minnesota right-hander. Vic Kramer and Jack Morris are next.
fastball location was something I was kind of struggling with. And went out and did it. You know, there's a couple ABs where I didn't throw anything but fastballs, especially early in that game, and it kind of just rolled on from there. And then, you know, started to get the breaking stuff over. The changeup was good. You know, Juan back there, he called a great game, and then you know, it ended up being, what was it, 6 perfect or whatever, and then 5 2/3. So you know, I'll take it.
Tyler Duffey and the Twins hoping that one good start will lead to many more to come. He will be making his first career start against the Texas Rangers, the best team in the American League. And we welcome you to Target Field. Another gorgeous day for baseball. Dick Bramer along with Jack Morris. Last Sunday in New York at Yankee Stadium, Tyler Duffey outpitched the Yankee starter. Now, you can probably count on one hand the number of times a Twin starter has done that. But he seems to have found something, at least he hopes he's found something mechanically that will get his season turned around.
Well, what he did is Eric Rasmussen, the pitching coach, and him decided that they were going to try to crossfire a little bit, that he's going to step a little more towards the third base side and throw more across his body. In fact, what that's doing is giving his arm a chance to catch up to his front half and therefore have better command. The result of it was better command down in the zone. He had a better breaking ball. He threw more changeups, which he's been trying to figure out a way to get that over the plate more often this year. He had success with it in New York, and he had his best outing ever. The question for Tyler is, can he go out there with maybe not as good stuff and start putting together consistent starts? He needs to do that because the Twins are desperately looking for one starter to get on a roll so somebody can follow suit.
Duffey and the Twins coming up next. The 70s, beautiful day for baseball. Very glad you decided to spend part of your holiday weekend with us. And Jack, give us your scouting report on Tyler Duffey, what he needs to do to come up with another good start here today.
Everything revolves around the fastball, so he has to have good command of his number one pitch, his fastball. Keep it down in the zone. That's typically when Tyler has very good movement, and he's got to be able to go inside, move their feet, make them uncomfortable occasionally. He will go to his breaking ball when he's had. That's what his tendency is. He's got a good curveball, but all that's set up with his fastball command and getting the hitters a little uncomfortable.
And the first hitter he'll face is Shin-Soo Choo. He and Desmond Prince Fielder will follow. And a strike on the outside corner. And Duffey, like a lot of young pitchers, has either been really, really good or really, really bad, and no gray area in between. And they're called strike, and it's 0-2, and Choo doesn't like the call.
Well, he's coming off a great start, and we mentioned it earlier that 1 out of 8. His 7 previous starts not so good. So consistency for Tyler, the key, and getting ahead early is one of them.
Pop up short center field. Buxton comes in a couple of steps. 1 down. The Menards batting order for the Rangers. It's a good lineup, as you might expect. A team with 52 wins in the first half of the season. Shin-Soo Choo, followed by the guy who's really been their catalyst this year, Ian Desmond, then Prince Fielder, Adrian Beltre, Rougned Odor, Ryan Rua getting the start in left field, Mitch Moreland, Elvis Andrus, and Robinson Chirinos. 1 down, and here's Desmond. Talked about it last night. Desmond turned down a big multi-year contract with the Washington Nationals. And Duffy sticks a fastball on the outside corner. Signed late with the Rangers and has been a huge addition to an already good lineup. 1-1.
That's the thing about this game. You never know who's going to produce. You get a guy from the other league, and you're hoping that things can work out. It's worked out great for Texas.
Backhanded by Sano. Fires across to Mauer. 2 down. Bring up fielders. First a look at the Northland Ford defense. Danny Santana with another start in left field. In center, Byron Buxton. In right, Max Kepler. Sano at third, Escobar at short, Dozier at second, Mauer at first, and Centeno behind the plate.
Suzuki and Plouffe getting the day off. Danny Santana, of course, Robbie Grossman taking a day off also. So those are the 3 bench guys for Paul Molitor.
Here is Fielder. Just off the plate, ball 1. Fielder hitting third, even though he's hitting just .216 on the season. Way out in front. That looked to be that changeup that Duffy is trying to use more. He sure used it more in his start against the Yankees.
Well, the key to a changeup is to show the hitter the same arm speed and to have the ball come up quite a bit slower. And that was a very well executed changeup for Duffy.
And then the breaking ball down and in, where he gets so many of his strikeouts. He got strike 2 on a foul ball to Fielder.
Yeah, early in the game, you got to show that you're going to throw it in the strike zone. As the game progresses, that ball can start dipping even lower and more on the inner part of the plate, sometimes getting underneath the swing of the hitters.
Up and away. 2-2.
What I saw in his start against the Yankees is his breaking ball had more of a downward plane. He wasn't throwing as many flat sliders that stayed on the same plane.
This one hit to right center field. Buxton to the gap. He'll play the carom, and Fielder will spin his wheels around first, on his way to second, and a head-first slide as he blankets the bag.
Well, Prince, he really has fun because he looks in his dugout immediately. Every time there's a running situation where Prince Fielder is involved, he knows he has the attention of all his teammates because they're wondering if he's going to make it or not. See that breaking ball left over the middle. But as he goes around first base, kind of loses his step there, and then the old belly flop, and hold on there, kid. I don't want to overslide.
And now Adrian Beltre. Missing the inside corner, ball 1. First time I saw a baseball game, town team ball, they secured the bases with the straps. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember those. I think a lot of ankles were broke because of those straps. Spikes would catch in there.
Well, just imagine whether the strap itself would be broken with Fielder sliding in head first into the bag. 2-0 now. A base open. Beltre, one of the top run producers of his era. Sano reaches across the line. It was a fair ball catch, and a nice catch by Sano to end the first inning. A game apiece today. The Menards batting order for the Twins with Eduardo Nunez, the designated hitter, leading off. Then Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Brian Dozier, Max Kepler moving up to fifth. Then Eduardo Escobar, Danny Santana, Juan Centeno, and Byron Buxton.
And they're going to be facing right-hander Chichi Gonzalez. He's making his second start of the year. It was a rough one, his first time out. What's interesting to me is this guy was called up from AAA Round Rock. His record down there, 3-6 with a 5.04 ERA. Now that would have got you a demotion 20 years ago in baseball, but now come on up, pitch in the big leagues.
Well, the Rangers, despite their great record, 52 wins in the first 81 games, have had some injury issues in their rotation. And it's been said several thousand times you can never have enough pitching. Derek Holland was hurt, and so Gonzalez gets a chance because of injury to pitch up in the big leagues. Nunez fights one off and still 0-2.
Well, he's the kind of guy, he doesn't have a tremendously overpowering fastball. He's going to pick corners. He's going to flip it up there on both sides of the plate, try to keep it down, get you to hit into ground balls and be out front.
Spun back over the screen. Still 0-2.
79-mile-an-hour pitch right there, so he's taken it off already in the game.
Fastball up and in, and Nunez, how do you bend yourself in that position and get back up?
It's the limbo. See this pitch up and in. Ooh. And it was very close.
Now you and I could both do that. It's the getting up part after doing that.
Well, you got to do what he did. You got to roll to one side.
1-2. And now 2-2. Speaks to Nunez's year that even on a day when he's not playing in the field, the Twins want his bat in the lineup. Down the line, down for a hit, an extra base hit for Eduardo Nunez. And the Twins get the first inning started on the right foot. Great at bat for Nunez after nearly taking one on the chin.
Well, for all young kids that are a little fearful of the baseball, it's a tough thing to go through when you get hit or you have a ball come up and in like Eduardo Nunez just had, but you've got to keep your shoulder in there. The next pitch, you see what he does. He keeps his front side in and goes down after a breaking ball, hooks it into the left field corner for a double, and the Twins have a runner in scoring position because of it.
Here's Mauer hitting second in today's lineup. It says in the box score that the Twins lost last night in 10 innings, when in fact they lost the game in the middle innings when they had a chance in the 4th, 5th, and 6th inning to score first and didn't get the job done, and then of course had to go extra innings in the 3-2 loss. So now they start the ball game with a leadoff double in the first, and they need to get Nunez across with the game's first run. 1-1 to Mauer.
Well, last night's pitcher Martin Perez has done an excellent job of getting double play balls, and he got a few of them in those middle innings. You flirt with disaster when you walk people like he did and put base runners on, having to depend on that ground ball double play, but he somehow found a way of getting it done.
Off the plate, 2-1.
One thing we can say about this Rangers infield is they've got a very good defense. They typically don't give away outs, so balls that are hit anywhere near them usually convert into outs.
Three and one, Sano on deck. Mauer's average, as you saw, down to 262.
Yeah, he's been going through a little bit of a mini slump again. Not wearing those sunglasses today, which I guess the clouds have given him enough non-glare.
And a walk will fill first base. Northland Ford defense for the Rangers. Rua, Desmond, Chu in the outfield. Beltre, Andrus, Odor, and Moreland the infielders, and Chirinos behind the plate. In last night's game, the Twins were thwarted in those middle inning threats with double plays. 2 of them on ground balls, 1 of them on a bunt that was popped up. So Sano with a chance to do some first inning damage. Nearly won the game in the bottom of the 9th last night with a fly to the warning track in center field. On the outside corner, a strike.
"13 pitches already for Gonzalez, no outs recorded. So he's starting with disaster himself.
Breaking ball missing. In Perez's case last night, he came into the game as the best pitcher in getting ground ball double plays. He had 19 and he got 2 big ones in the middle innings. And Gonzalez is not that guy.
Sano's going to have to be patient here. This is a situation where you'd love to break the game wide open early with the big hit, but one thing about Miguel Sano, he took a walk yesterday. He's willing to get a pitch that he can handle.
Now 2-1.
I think it helps to watch a guy in front of him like Joe Mauer, who is so good at eyeballing the hitter and not swinging out of the zone, especially early in the games. Joe rarely does that, typically takes a strike. And I think that can benefit a young hitter like Sano.
Gonzalez in a first inning mess. Now a hitter's count to Sano. 3-1. Dozier on deck.
Odor is going to come in and try to calm down Gonzalez. Got to throw strikes. I'm sure that's what he's saying. Find a way to throw it over. We'll catch the ball if you give us a chance.
Gonzalez, born in Florida. Came up last year, 10 starts, 4 relief appearances. Did okay. ERA of under 4. 3-1. Popped up over the Twins dugout and out of play. Now 3-2.
Well, a guy holding a couple beverages there just bailed out of the way. Did not want to spill anything. So
if you're holding $15 in your hand, and
yeah,
$5 baseball's coming your way.
Well, you were wrong on both accounts.
Baseball's more than $5 now.
Yeah, way more. Especially a game used one.
Driven foul, still 3-2. See, that's the only thing. Now you're a spectator, and we might get a ball in here today for that matter. But that's the only thing I have over you, because you had such a great playing career. Somebody hits a foul ball up in here, and I end up with it. I'm going to be just like a fan. 3-2 to Sano. A high fly to center. Nunez at second, and he'll just bluff. 1 away, and that'll bring up Dozier. Time for today's Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Brian Dozier with a 13-game hitting streak. Corey Seager has him by 1. Jason Kipnis has the second most important streak in Cleveland. He's got a 13-game hitting streak, and the Indians have a 14-game winning streak. Quick trip to the mound here with Dozier at the plate. The Twins again want to get something out of this first inning threat. Doug Brocail, the pitching coach.
You know, back to your comment about foul balls and how
valuable or how you cherish them. I remember those days, Dick. I remember going out to the old Met Stadium.
Did you get one at Met Stadium?
Many of them. I used to get out early and climb below the bleachers in left field during batting practice. They'd fall through. And for me, my favorite memory was the old Reach baseball. Do you remember Reach?
Yeah. With the Joe Cronin.
They were a green ink on them.
Right, yep. Joe Cronin was the president. Nunez dives back safely. Yeah, if you still have those are probably worth a lot of money.
Of course I don't have them. I wish I did.
One strike to Dozier.
Let's see if Brian can get something going here for the Twins. You don't want to leave those guys stranded. Nunez, good speed at second base. Mauer, good speed at first.
Off the plate, 1-1. Any hit to the outfield should score Nunez from second base. Two and one. And Gonzalez, even though it's just the first inning, he's been walking on the tightrope pretty much all inning long.
22 pitches thrown already, and he's been behind, it seems like, everybody.
11 strikes. Came back to get Sano after falling behind him. Foul
Here you
back.
go. Here you go.
Right. Oh! I actually had a second chance at that one. It hit something in front, bounced right up within my reach.
A sinker, Dick. It was just a sinker. If it was up a little bit in the zone, you would have had it.
2-2 to Dozier. Breaking ball, and he fought it off. I wonder how many teams, as they've approached the midway point of the season, have had their leadoff hitter at the start of the year hit cleanup for them in the middle of the season. Dozier's certainly been swinging the bat like a cleanup batter since being moved there. Caught by the pitcher and dropped at second base by Odor. Nunez was waved home by Gene Glenn, but he looked at Odor instead, and the Twins catch a break. That should have been an inning-ending double play, and instead the bases are loaded with one out.
And it's got to be an error on Odor, the second baseman. He was trying to quickly turn that ball before the ball got into his glove. We'll take another look at it right here. You see the ball hit hard right back at Gonzalez. He somehow finds the ball and throws it to second base. It was a little bit off, but I think Odor should have still caught that ball.
Odor should be charged with the error. And here's Kepler. Lifted foul over the Ranger dugout. The Twins have not been very productive, to say the least, in these bases loaded situations this year. Down and in, 1-1. What's encouraging about Sano and Kepler is they do have a discerning eye at the plate. I've seen Kepler take close pitches, draw some walks. Chop to the right side. And they'll come home safe at the plate. Moreland with a terrible decision.
Yep.
And the Rangers are shooting themselves in the foot. Now Chirinos is saying, hey, let's take a look at that. It was a force play. Of course, there didn't need to be a tag. But Chirinos is looking in the Texas dugout like he thinks there's a chance they may have gotten the out.
Boy, it sure did not look like it to us.
Here's the replay.
Doesn't even look like they're checking.
Moreland, he took forever to get rid of the ball, too. No, he's safe.
And so now the Twins literally given a run. Yeah, he was safe. And the bases are still loaded for Escobar. Kepler reaching on a fielder's choice. He gets an RBI with Nunez scoring. And now Escobar.
There's another case for my team error situation. Oh, no.
This is about as bad an inning as the Rangers have had since their playoff loss to the Blue Jays.
Three straight fielder choices. Odor had a trouble getting rid of this ball. You can see it goes into his glove, and then he can't find the handle on it, and he's trying to get rid of it. Goes off his fingertips, and
why would you barehand that?
Well, it didn't work out very good. He may be out at second,
but a run will score on what should have been. I mean, that's as tailor-made a double play grounder as you're going to have.
And they're going to give Andrus the error there.
Can't give Andrus an error if he got the out. They're going to. Bannister saying, let's take a look at it. It's been an awful inning for the Rangers. And I don't know Chichi Gonzalez, but I can't help but feel sorry for him. He's had to get 6 outs here this inning.
Well, we're going to see that Andrus does pick up the ball in time, even though it's dropped. He picks it up, and there is an out right there. It touches the bag before Kepler. So he will not receive an error, but it goes down as another RBI. And that's a case where it's hard to give anybody an error. Mitch Moreland threw the ball. Nothing happened except an earned run for the pitcher, where it should have not been an earned run. There should have not been, well, there should have at least been an out recorded.
This play, I'm almost certain, will be overruled. The call will be changed. Remember, in the playoffs, Elvis Andrus in particular had 3 plays, just awful plays. And the out recorded now at second base. 2 runs are in. Runners at first and third for Danny Santana. That was the infamous game that included the Bautista bat flip. So the Twins, who have just 1 hit in the inning, have scored twice. There have been some misplays by the Rangers, and they're still not done. Danny Santana will hit with runners at first and third.
It's just so typical. Every time we start talking about what a good defensive infield there is, they go out and just goat head about 3 in a row.
Escobar takes down and in. Or excuse me, Santana, I should say. Santana hitting .281 from this side of the plate and just .077 from the other. And it's not a platoon system, I don't think, but it's played its way through a platoon system here, with Grossman hitting right-handed against lefties and Santana against righties. Sliced foul, 1-1. Twins will face another lefty tomorrow, Cole Hamels, so we would anticipate Grossman will be back in there.
And Suzuki.
Oh, first inning bullpen work. Cesar Ramos. Fouled away, 1-2.
Well, manager Jeff Bannister for Texas is aware of Tyler Duffy's last outing in New York, where he pitched well and he has a clean first inning, so he cannot afford to let this game get too far out of hand, knowing that the pitcher has been pitching well against him.
1-2 to Santana. There goes Escobar, and there'll be no throw. And it's 2-2. So stolen base for Escobar, and a hit to the outfield might score 2. Twins in search of a clutch 2-out hit from Danny Santana. 3-2. Centeno on deck. Meanwhile, Eddie Rosario's hitting .319 for Rochester, and he has drawn 7 walks in his last, or with his last 80 at bats. So he's starting to draw some walks which is one of the things he needs to do to get back up here. Foul tip, and Chirinos can't hang on. 35 pitches, and Gonzalez, who gave up a double to Nunez and then walked Mauer, and since then he's effectively made good pitches to retire the next 4 batters. But the Rangers not looking like a team with 52 wins on the year, at least in this first inning.
A lot of standing around by the infield and outfield for Texas.
It's a nice foul.
There's got to be some stat correlation between how many pitches are thrown in the game and how many wins are recorded by the team that has to stand around and watch 300 pitches.
Kind of like a time of possession thing in football.
Yeah.
Another 3-2 to Santana. A walk will prolong the inning, and Centeno will come up with the bases loaded in a game that is now driven by the pitch count for the starting pitcher. The misplays behind him have cost Gonzalez about half his pitches. And now Centeno will try to provide a big first inning hit.
Yeah, defense and pitching go hand in hand. You've got to have both clicking in order for a team to have a chance in a baseball game.
Up the middle, a base hit. Centeno will drive into the throw all the way to the plate, but Centeno jumps on the first pitch, and now Escobar is holding his his left leg, the back of his leg. Tony Leo along with Paul Molitor, the Twins have scored 4 runs. Escobar flying around third base scored. And although it's been a good inning for the Twins with 4 runs, still batting, Escobar looks like he's heading straight to the clubhouse.
Let's see if we can see maybe something that happened right there.
Seemed to be running fine until he went into the slide.
Yeah, he just maybe he had something in his pocket. Boy, he cramped up though. You can tell that he's holding his leg there.
Gonzalez could be forgiven if he looked over his shoulder as he walks off the mound and says, "Thanks, fellas." He is out in the first inning. Help along the way by the best team in the league.
Yeah, this ball comes back at the pitcher Gonzalez. He throws it to Odor. Odor clanks it.
And this one right here, Mitch Moreland waits forever to get rid of the ball. Nunez scores. Bad choice there. Ball hit to Odor. Elvis Andrus drops it, but picks it up. Out is recorded, and then the first pitch. Centeno hits one right up the middle, scores two. As Escobar rounds third and scores, he comes up lame at home. So it's been an interesting half inning. Twins have got 4 on the board, only 2 outs recorded.
Buxton at the plate, Ramos on the mound, and a high fly to the left field corner. Rua chasing, and that ball's in the seats. Buxton, as we said last night, a little more aggressive swinging early in the count. If he's getting a first pitch fastball, more often than not, he's taking a hack at it. Ramos coming in for the 13th time. I doubt that he's ever come in this early. One strike to Buxton. And now up and away. Ramos has made 4 starts this year, so he's in good position, one would think, to take care of some innings for the Rangers.
Well, they're certainly going to depend on him to do that here.
Inside 2-1. And Escobar seems to be okay. A little bit of a smile on his face. 3-1 to Buxton. It's almost like the impact of the dirt on the home plate area caused him some pain, and he grabbed the back of the left leg like, you know, it was his hamstring or something.
Yeah, shooting like a nerve or something.
Yeah.
Got him.
Well, he appears to be fine. 3-1 to Buxton. Swing and a miss. And it's a full count. Runner at first. Centeno will take off early.
Good to see the Twins get off to an early lead, take advantage of just what it seems to be one of the ugliest half innings the Rangers have probably played all year.
To left center field, hanging in the air, and making the catch is Rua. 9 men bat. The Twins score 4 times and already are into the Texas bullpen. Rangers making some mistakes in the field, and the Twins taking advantage.
You know, where I was landing with my front foot, you know, it's something as simple as that, just a few inches closed myself off a little bit, and got to back. I feel like I did last year when I came up for the second time, and try and do it again.
Talking about Tyler Duffey going back to a delivery where he, as they say, steps across his body, and we're going to show you what he's talking about here shortly. 1-0 to Rougned Odor. Ryan Rua, Mitch Moreland will follow.
It's funny because 99.999% of all pitching coaches try to encourage kids to do the opposite. Don't throw across your body, to open up and allow yourself to get through the ball.
All right, explain what we're talking about, Jack, as we look at it. This is how he was prior to his adjustment Sunday in New York.
Well, ideally you want to step on a perfect straight line from the rubber towards the catcher. And what he's doing here in the second video is stepping a little bit more towards third base, so he's in effect throwing across his body. But the reason for that is to keep his front shoulder in a little bit longer and let his arm catch up. It does put a lot more stress on your elbow. So, most pitching coaches want you to land properly, but keep your shoulder in.
And into center field off the mound, Rua skips a single into center field with 1 out. You can see he's way over on the first base side of the rubber for one thing.
And I'm not a fan of that either because of the angle. We could talk about that for a half hour, but you see that Duffey is throwing slightly across his body. If you drew a straight line from where his back foot is towards the catcher, you would realize he's probably 4, 5, 6 inches towards the third base side when he lands.
Runner at first, 1 down. When I asked Duffey about that, we were still in Chicago, and he said, well, it just felt good. He felt like he had better command, and he also felt that, particularly with his breaking ball, that his upper torso was tucked in just a little bit longer, and it allowed him to hide the ball just a split second longer.
Yeah. And it does all that. There's no question it does all that. But you're putting a lot more stress on your body by throwing across it. You're never going to have the velocity by throwing across your body as you would if you free it up.
1-1. Grounded towards short and under the glove of Sano. And the Twins were shifted into the pull side, and now a pair of 1-out singles, and the Rangers are threatening. First and third, 1 down, and let's check in with Marty Gellner.
Guys, you were talking about Tyler Duffey in his last start in New York, and Juan Centeno was behind the plate in that start as well. When I spoke to Juan today, he said he and Duffey talked a lot before the game in New York about Duffey staying calm and being under control. And he's a pitcher that has so many emotions and often shows his emotions out there. But Centeno said that's one of the things he thought Duffey did really well, was keep his composure. And Jack, I would ask you how important it is for a catcher to help keep a pitcher in line throughout the course of a game.
A good point, Marnie. I think the catcher has more control over you than anybody. His little signals, the way he looks at you, he can basically talk to you with his glove and try to keep you in the game. Catchers are the pitcher's best friend. They depend on each other, and when your catcher is in tune with you, he knows exactly where you are mentally. He can go out there and tell you calm down, or he also can see where a guy like Duffey might show emotion, but he's still under control, so it's not a big deal.
To center, a liner, and Buxton will make the catch, tagging from third, scoring is Rua, and the Rangers are on the board. Couple of hits, now a sacrifice fly, and it's 4-1. Well, you understand why, and it might have been Neil Allen's suggestion that Duffey would try to straighten his delivery out a little bit. Bert Blyleven's often talked about how when he was in the minor leagues as a pitching coach, or I guess it was in the major league, Don McMahon put down a folding chair where he was landing and forcing Bert to kind of open up and step over the chair, correcting his delivery. Eric Rasmussen feels bad because he's been watching Duffey for the last several starts and just noticed it prior to his Yankee start, saying, I should have noticed this earlier. Let's get back to what was successful last year. 1 strike.
This is what we're all talking about here, is finishing towards the glove. And Duffey was flying open with his front shoulder. That's the problem, leaving all his breaking balls up in the zone, flat, rushing pitches with his lower half. By closing off, it's slowing his body down a little bit.
Another base hit right up the middle. Third hit of the inning, first and second, and now the tying run coming to the plate and Shin-Soo Choo.
I'm going to take a look at Tyler Duffey from the catcher and coming right at home plate. And you can see where he lands. He's a little bit cross-body, but see how he's still falling over? His energy is still going to the first base side. He needs to have that energy going more towards the catcher. And that's what really the pitching coach, Eric Rasmussen, whether it was Neil Allen, Bert or I talking about, we'd like to see him keep that front shoulder in and drive his legs towards the catcher more, have less of a fall off towards the first base side.
Here is Choo, and there is ball one. Duffy's got a little bit of a situation to pitch around here with the Rangers picking up 4 hits first time through the batting order, 3 of them this inning.
Well, this is damage control right here for a young pitcher, understanding that, hey, I've got 4 runs to work with. Now it's down to 3. I need an out. And the way to get outs is to make good pitches. And he's starting to fly open again. He's starting to rush. We talked about it so many times with young pitchers, to have a consistency between a good start and your follow-up start, to realize what you were doing right and try to repeat that. That's what the art of pitching is repeating the same delivery over and over and over.
Slow breaking ball hits the corner. Well, during his warm-up tosses before the first inning, I watched him between every pitch. He was looking at where he landed, and that's kind of a little
mental check.
Mental check, and that's how he kind of prepared, because he, in his mind at least, believes that was why he was so good in his last start. Wants to make sure he does it again. Another slow breaking ball hits the outside corner again.
Yogi Berra will always be remembered as the guy of all the quotes. He's had hundreds of quotes, but the one that made the most sense to me is you can't hit and think at the same time.
Swing and a miss, and Duffy, using his breaking ball, gets out of the second inning and does a nice job of damage control. Numbers in the first this afternoon. They got a crooked number. Is there a number more crooked than a 4? A lot of different angles in that number. That's a nice crooked number.
9. 9's got a couple loops.
Okay.
I like 9's better than 4s.
Right.
8s, yeah, snowman.
Okay. 1-0 to Nunez. He started it all. He took a pitch under his chin, then he cracked a double to the left field corner. To the right field corner. He's got another hit.
Yes, he does.
And the helmet comes off finally as he glides into second.
You think he's got a switch maybe or in his shoe or something that he can just lean on his right toe?
and that helmet comes popping off.
Nunez now playing this game. Speaking of crooked numbers, he's playing this game at right angles. A double to the left field corner and a double to the right field corner.
Tough pitch to hit right there, but he barreled it up, shot it over to right field. Chu not getting to it. And just about there goes the helmet.
See, I like it. I wish I'd have thought of that a few times I put the ball in play and ran. It just makes you look faster, doesn't it, if the helmet comes off?
We'll get back to you.
Bauer takes inside, ball one.
Speaking of getting back, the point I was trying to make in the last half inning about Yogi Berra and his comment about hitting, you can't think and hit at the same time. Same is true about pitching. All the things hitters do and pitchers do to prepare to be able to execute their art, their craft, is thrown out the window once they are ready to pitch the ball or hit the ball. They've got to focus on the baseball, you know, and for a pitcher, you've got to focus on the catcher's glove. So no matter what your pitching coach and you have been working on, where your arm slot, your shoulder, your legs, you know, all those things, timing, you've still got to be able to focus on the glove and throw the ball where you want to.
1-1 to Bauer. Rounder right side. Odor backhands. Flips to first. Nunez to third. Their former teammate Kent Hrbek put it another way. He said basically the same thing. Full head, empty bat. I think Herbie was the first one who phrased it that way. In other words, if you're thinking up there, you're not going to get any hits.
Yeah. Okay. It took my half empty head to figure out what he was trying to say.
Here's Sano, the infield in. And Elvis Andrus and Adrian Beltre living life on the edge here with this big man at the plate.
Yeah, Elvis is even closer than Beltre.
Over the inside corner. Sano hit a fly ball to center in the middle of the 4-run first inning. With a chance to do something that's been done to them so many times. The other guys score. Twins have a chance to score in the next at bat. And an awkward swing on an off-speed pitch, 0-2.
You don't see Sano do that too often, where he takes sort of a half swing and in between swing where you're just not real sure if it's going to be a strike or if he should have held up or not. Hitting coaches are always telling you, look, if you commit, take a hack.
And he waves at a pitch way out of the strike zone.
Over anxious there.
That'll leave this second inning threat to Brian Dozier. Join us for Wine, Women, and Baseball. The special ticket package includes a Twins stemless wine glass and a pregame hospitality event at Lowe's Minneapolis Hotel. A limited number of ticket packages remain for the July 27th and August 12th events. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/WWB or call 800-33-TWINS. Now Dozier reached on a fielder's choice his first time up. Slow breaking ball, bends over, strike one. Dozier with a quizzical look back at Lance Barrett. Bunt and taking a ball. Dozier did that in Chicago the other day. Bunted right back to the pitcher, and he ended up being thrown out. Beltre shortening his position at third by a couple of steps from where he was. Check swing, 2-1.
Certainly Dozier would love to pick up this RBI, like you mentioned, Dick, to get that run back, have that 4-run lead again, and just shift the momentum back in their dugout.
Off the plate again, 3-1. Kepler on deck.
Almost appears to be pitching very carefully to Dozier here. Maybe he would prefer to
face the left-hander with 2 outs. Max Kepler on deck.
Ramos 3-1 to Dozier. Ball 4. So Dozier goes to first, and Kepler comes up with runners on the corner.
3rd walk of the game for Texas. First one here for Ramos.
Time now for today's Lowe's home field advantage. Max Kepler with an 11-game hitting streak here at Target Field. And the 2 home runs, the most notable, of course, the game winner, the walk-off against the Red Sox. Base hit to start the 10th inning last night, but then was left aboard. Drove in a run with a ground ball. Probably could have been, maybe should have been, an inning-ending double play grounder, but the Rangers didn't play it cleanly. The inning continued. Kepler's ground ball driving in the 2nd run of the 1st inning. Oh, foul. The screen in front of the Twins dugout. 1 strike. Foul. Nice catch by the ball boy in the corner. Man.
Pickett.
Backhand. Which Davis wanted no part of it. Well, that's how you do it right there.
Never a doubt, right?
Two strikes to Kepler. And now 1-2. Let's try to take advantage of their 2nd straight leadoff double by Nunez. And he fought it off. Had a chance to talk with Kepler today about his background. I think everybody realizes we're probably going to have to get to know this guy a little bit. Of course, from Berlin. His mother was born in the United States, in Alaska, actually, moved around a little bit. His father was born in Poland. They met while they were on a touring dance company in Germany, ballet. 1-2. And that's why he grew up in a trilingual family. He is fluent in German and English, and talking with him this morning, he said he could get by in Poland and have a conversation with someone.
So could I. I just need the interpreter.
Well, he doesn't need an interpreter. 2-2. Great jump by Dozier. A drive to right field. This is back. Gone. A 3-run home run for Max Kepler. A great at bat and his 4th big league home run.
That ball was elevated a little bit by Ramos, and Max did not miss it. He had 2 really good swings on foul balls that were tougher pitches for him to hit, and then he gets the cookie left out over the plate, and he puts it up in the flowers.
A big 2-out hit. Twins looked like that leadoff double was going to be wasted.
Come on, let's go. Let's go.
And now Eduardo Escobar, that he's hitting here in the 2nd inning, was very much in doubt when he scored his run last inning. And a first pitch strike. Already this afternoon, a couple of big 2-out hits. Centeno's 2-run single and Kepler's 2-out 3-run home run.
And it just appears that the Texas Rangers have been standing on the field for an hour.
Deep center, but in the ballpark, and Desmond ends the inning. A leadoff double. Finally, a big hit by Max Kepler. A lot of two-strike fouls, and then this, and it's 7-1. Over in left field with Danny Santana moving into short. And Eduardo Escobar, who was in some pain after scoring a run in the first inning, had his at bat in the second inning, and then the Twins decided to take him out. So we'll wait for word, but some disconcerting news regarding Escobar.
When's the last time Danny Santana's played short?
Of course, complicated because this is the one game that Paul Molitor put Eduardo Nunez in the DH spot. Yeah. So if you put Nunez there, you'd lose the DH for the balance of the game. Strike one on the outside corner to Ian Desmond. He bounced to third his first time up.
Yeah, that's really his only option, is to put Danny there.
Chopper to third. Sano sets. Boy, I like watching him throw. He's got a very powerful arm at third base. And so far it's been on target.
We talk about pitchers that just have that free and easy 95, 97. It's the way he throws it across the diamond. He takes his time. The most important thing is to get himself in a position not to have a bad hop. He backs off of that one because he's confident in his throwing arm. Just easy toss, 95 miles an hour over to Joe Mauer.
Here's Fielder. And strike one.
Pretty simple game plan right now for Tyler Duffey. Don't walk anybody. Make them hit their way on. 6-run lead.
Strike two. Fielder hit a double but was left aboard in the first inning. Up and in. Chop to the right side. Mauer can take it himself, but he flips to Duffey, 2 away. Somewhere in target field is Marty Gellner.
Dick, I spoke to Paul Molitor before the game about Miguel Sano defensively at third base, and Molitor said, having been around Sano in the minor leagues trying to help him as a fielder, that Molitor saw progress in a lot of areas, but the kind of play that Sano made last night against Adrian Beltre, this one right here, Molitor said that did not need polishing even back then. That Sano has a lot of confidence at third base in the way he reacts to the ball, the way he can throw on the move and from the side the way he did on that one. He gets so much on it, and that maybe, just maybe, Dick and Jack, we shouldn't all be so surprised when Miguel Sano makes such an athletic and polished play over at third.
He says he loves it over there. Yeah. Thank you, Marnie. And for a young player in particular, right now that's his comfort range. Right field wasn't, and Terry Ryan said, you know, he did okay out there and still might see some time out there.
I predict that because of that, the feel-good factor at third base defensively, it will help his offense. Knowing that he doesn't have to stress over a position, he'll be able to focus better at the plate.
Good inning for Duffy as he strikes out Beltre and has a quick 1-2-3 inning. Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. What's yours? Danny Santana hitting right-handed, taking a strike. Santana drew a walk as a left-handed batter against the starter Chichi Gonzalez, who did not get through the first inning. One strike to Santana. Now the Twins shortstop. Talked with Tom Bernansky yesterday about Santana's struggles from the right side of the plate, and he said even when things were going well 2 years ago for Santana, he hit .319 that year, the perception was he was a much better hitter from the left side than the right side. So it's an ongoing issue, and it's compounded, of course. Santana's not the first switch hitter to experience this. You don't see much left-handed pitching, so even though the right side might be your natural side, unless you can practice it in game situations through muscle memory and all that, your batting stroke is going to suffer from the right side because you don't see much left-handed pitching.
Good point. And, even a more in-depth question for me is, has Danny Santana evolved into what we're going to project as a utility guy? Will he ever be an everyday player again, and at what position if he was?
1-2. Interesting you should bring that up. Santana with a foul ball, because I asked Paul Molitor that very question this morning, wondering how important this second half would be. Something might be wrong with Santana. He's going for a little stroll.
I think that fouled off his toe, maybe.
Yeah. And I asked Paul that today, how important the second half is for Santana to play the role he was originally intended to play, which was a super utility player. And Paul basically said, Santana's still young enough, he can find a position, a regular position. It's just for this year, given the construction of the team coming out of spring training, that was his role this year. Up and away.
Yeah, I think there's so many guys trying to find a position right now that Danny's kind of in flux. He's got to kind of play all of them, and thus the super utility role.
Popped up behind second base. Odor with the catch, one away. The Texas starter Chichi Gonzalez called up to start because in part of injury issues within the Rangers staff. And you can look at our Sanford Health injury report. Lewis a starter, Holland a starter. He was actually the pitcher that went on the DL when Gonzalez was called up. They hope to get Darvish back sometime soon. Kello a reliever.
Well, the two guys that really could make a difference is Colby Lewis had a great start, and Yu Darvish, everybody knows that when he's pitching well, he's a dominant pitcher. So as good as this Ranger team has been, they get a couple guys healthy back in the rotation, they could become even better.
One strike to Centeno. He spanked the first pitch he saw in the first inning for a 2-run single.
It seems as though Derek Holland's been banged up for a couple years now.
Right. You know, the Rangers have the luxury coming into play today with an 8.5 game lead over the surging Astros, but they do have the luxury in July of making moves for the regular season with the eye and the hope of making plans for the postseason. You know, when you got a big lead, you can afford to not taking anything for granted,
right,
but you can make plans for October.
Yeah, the cards will start falling into place, no question. Plus, with their record, even if Houston does potentially catch them, they're probably sitting in prime position for the wild card in the American League.
1-2 to Centeno. Driven to the right field corner, but it's hooking foul.
Centeno had a nice at bat, his first at bat, driving in a couple runs with a base hit up the middle.
The reason I bring all that up is the Rangers almost certainly this month will add at least one starting pitcher. And you know, last year it was Cole Hamels they acquired, and that was a big reason they ended up winning the division.
Well, it may even be Yu Darvish when the Twins play in Texas.
Right. 1-2. And that hit him. Centeno did not get out of the way, and he got hit in the right arm, and he'll take first base with one out. If you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app, take Fox Sports North and Twins baseball with you wherever you go. Here is Buxton, hit a fly ball to left his first time up. In the second half of the year, the Twins want to see improvement from Buxton, to be sure, but specifically against left-handed pitching. The average is actually coming up a little bit. 6 hits, 45 at bats, but still in the low 100s. That's to right field and deep and off the wall. Centeno to third. He'll be waved around. Buxton flies to third base, standing up with an RBI triple. Sometimes you watch Buxton and it reminds me of the old newsreel footage of Jackie Robinson running with his hands pumping.
I was going to say it's because of where he holds his hands. Most base runners have the pumping motion up and down. Buxton has them both above his waist when he especially rounds bases. Let's watch him out of the box. And you can see how he gets that tremendous stride going so quickly. Balls hit well off the right center field fence, but
all right, now there's your pumping.
All right, now he gets up to speed and he starts lifting them up as he rounds the bases. There's one. It goes up in the air. He comes around third. It's up in the air again. It's kind of all over the place.
Probably aerodynamically trying to slow himself down a little bit.
Makes Centeno looks a little bit like I don't know, Porky Pig, but he just Centeno runs well for a catcher.
Throw to third, and the I think appeal was that Centeno missed third base You know, that's something that maybe fans aren't aware of. Well, while everyone in the ballpark here, just about everyone, is following the flight of the ball and where it is and all that, coaches have assignments to watch base runners. In this case, the Texas dugout, someone is assigned the task of watching the runners to make sure they touch. And here's Centeno.
You can't step more on top of it than that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the appeal was for.
I think that guy that had that assignment was just having a bad day, bored a little bit, and maybe wanted to justify his job.
1-0 to Nunez. That's to center, and it'll get the job done. Going back is Desmond. And on the warning track has to leap and make the catch. And Buxton can do a handstand and come home. And the Twins have scored 4 times in the first, 3 in the second, and 2 so far here in the third. Very productive day for the designated hitter Nunez, with 2 doubles, 2 runs scored, and now a run batted in. Mauer with a walk and a ground ball. Hits are almost even. Twins with just 5 hits, but they've scored 9 runs because of walks, hit batters, errors. Strike over the inside corner. Outside, 1-1.
It's amazing, just amazing how this game of baseball is so dependent on good pitching. Today's starter for Texas, Chichi Gonzalez, has a rough first inning, gives up 4. And Ramos comes in, gives up 3, now 2 here in the third. Just seems like a one-sided blowout type game for the Twins. The defense for the Rangers have been standing around what seems like since yesterday, and Tyler Duffy getting all the rest he needs. He just needs to go out and throw strikes now. He's got a big cushion on the hill with run support.
Outside, 3-1. And Duffy's, in addition to pitching better, he's picked good days to pitch.
Great
Sunday
days.
in New York, the Twins hit 6 home runs. And now this afternoon, 9 early runs. There are more runs on the board than outs recorded. On the outside corner, 3-2.
Well, I used to tell my teammates in fun, you want to win today, get 10. I've never lost with 10. And if you want to make it a lot of fun, get them early.
Liner to left, and I think that wasn't even caught with a trap. Mauer's aboard with a single off of Rua in left field.
Rua playing quite deep there for Joe. Ball was hit pretty much at the normal left fielder's position, but Rua had to come in a long way to try to catch that ball. We noticed that in yesterday's game that the outfielders for Texas Rangers are playing really deep here at Target Field. Look at how deep he was, only a few steps away from the warning track in left field.
And so far from the line for Joe. Here's Sano, 0 for 2. Another weird swing. Tied himself up on a breaking ball, 1 strike.
Ramos threw him nothing but breaking balls his last at bat with runners in scoring position. Sano swinging way out of the zone, both down and in and down and away. And he starts him off with a breaking ball again here in this at bat. Another one.
1-1. Two and 1. In the first inning, the Twins got a big 2-out hit. Centeno's 2-run single. In the second inning with 2 outs, Kepler hit a 3-run home run. Twins have already scored twice here. Hoping that Sano can deliver with 2 away.
Man,
change up down and away.
Just not seeing the ball right now. Miguel Sano, you can see that he's all out of whack. Balance wise, seeing the ball. He did walk his first at bat. Excuse me, that wasn't today, that was yesterday.
2-2. Oh my. A towering fly to left into the second deck.
Breaking ball, but that time he squared it up.
Not the farthest home run hit here, but that might be the highest. And the Twins have that crooked number 4 again here in the 3rd inning.
4s are wild. See the location, breaking ball pretty much down and in. That's the one he swung over the top of for a strike in his second at bat. That time he got the barrel on it. And you said it, Dick. Boy, that ball was hit a long way straight up.
We were talking about Kepler a few days ago and how his, what they call it, launch angle is narrow. And it's a good thing. Roy Smalley in detail talked about why it was and why it's a good thing for Kepler. He hits the ball hard, and he doesn't chop the ball into the ground, and he doesn't hit high fly balls. Sano is so strong. His launch angle is broader, wider than Kepler's, but he's so strong he can pop a ball up like that and hit it out.
I think what Roy's really saying is Kepler's got more of a flat swing.
Right.
And he swings down on the ball, where Sano's got an uppercut swing.
Right.
By nature. And, you know, a lot of guys would pop that ball up if they had that same swing, don't have the strength to get it out of the ballpark. Well, Sano's got the strength to leave anywhere in the yard.
2-1 to Dozier. And a tapper foul. Of course, I asked Paul Molitor that question too, and he talked about swing plane. That was the term he used, and how he swings down on the ball, and as a result, he gets backspin. Kepler now we're talking about.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, a lot of different ways to say the same thing.
Pretty convinced we're going to be watching these 2 young men for a long time in the Twins uniform.
Let's hope so.
2-2, and now 3-2.
The thing about both of them is they can have a couple funky swings and a bad at bat or two, but then, you know, they have that one good swing in a game, and it could be a difference maker. And, you know, they have the ability to do so many things positive that can help the team. It might be 1 out of 4 at bats, but they could be the key to the game.
Dozier strikes out. The Twins almost hit for the cycle in the 3rd inning. 4 more for Tyler Duffey to work with in the 3rd. He has pitched well, and the Twins again today have given him a lot of run support. yet as we go to the 4th inning, but we are along with Bob Franzen celebrating his 95th birthday. Bob was the general manager at Channel 11 when they broadcast Twins games starting in the first year back in 1961, and for many years after that. Bob, a loyal Twins viewer, and we hope he is having a great day today as he celebrates number 95. Buxton comes in from center field. Odor quickly retired, 1 away. And we'll bring up Ryan Rua.
Duffy doing what he's supposed to do, throw strikes. 1 pitch, 1 out. He had a 9-pitch 3rd inning, 1-2-3 3rd inning. A lot of runs to work with here. 10-run lead.
Rua singled and scored in the 2nd. He had a low smash that skipped off the mound and into center field before anybody could react. Fouled away, 1-1. You were one that showed your emotions on the mound. Bert was too. And so I'm interested in your take on Duffy, who I think was a little unhappy with the location of that pitch. Now he got a strike, he got a foul ball, but introspectively very hard on himself because he didn't deliver the pitch, I don't think, where he wanted to. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't worry about it. I think Tyler in time will probably show less and less emotion. You know, you learn as a pitcher that it's all about how you do the next pitch that's important. And, you know, you can release some energy, you can get frustrated and all that, but you got to regroup. And sometimes I think the longer you're in this game, the more you realize the human element says I'm not perfect. I think Tyler is still at that stage in his career where he thinks he can be. Well, nobody can be. I remember I thought I could be. I remember Sparky Anderson one time asking me, he says, do you think you're going to win every game? Do you think you're going to be perfect every time out? And I go, no, but I want to be. He says, well, you're not going to be. So quit worrying about it. Just be happy with your good effort.
2-2 to Rua. Missed inside with a breaking ball.
Yeah, I think in a world where very few other pitchers are showing the emotion anymore, that Tyler Duffy kind of stands out. I think he would be relatively calm in our era.
To center and deep. Buxton back, and that ball is gone, clearing the fence into the bullpen. Rua with a single and a run scored, and now a solo home run on the 4th.
Now Rua having himself a good day. I tell you, you know, you just look at certain guys you've never seen before, and you can almost tell in a short period of time what kind of player they're going to be. This guy is an athletic-looking player, and this is a real nice swing. Ball down the middle, met it out in front of the plate, and right here, Dick, something you can take a look at Tyler Duffy. Really just let that go. In reality, it's a meaningless run. You've got 9-run lead now instead of a 10. So regroup and go after the next guy. If he can get Moreland here, then you don't worry about a solo home run.
Most of the emotion he shows comes after the inning is over with. He, of course, had the great start against the Yankees. Took a no-hitter deep into the ball game, then gave up a hit, then gave up a home run to Mark Teixeira. The Twins comfortably ahead, and he gave the Twins 8 innings, gave up just 2 hits. There's a chopper toward first, and Mauer with the play right on the line gets Moreland out number 2. And then Duffy kind of vented a little bit in the dugout. You know, the field staff had to say, hey, wait a minute, you know, that's just silly. You got an 8-1 lead. You know, you pitched a great ball game. Carsoup.com trivia question: which starting pitchers won the most day games in Twins history? Wow.
Well, I bet it's the same guy who's got the most Twins victories.
Showed you earlier the difference between night and day is right. I mean, look at this: 11 ERA at night and a 3 ERA during the day.
Well, if we could figure out Kyle Gibson's splits, if it was day and night, then we could figure out what days they pitch.
1-0 to Andrus. That's hit well to left. Grossman back. Leaps and can't make the play, and Buxton will play the carom. Andrus goes to second. So the number 8 batter delivering a double off the wall, and Grossman, who didn't start the game in left field, a little tentative on the warning track.
He did not have a good break to that ball, and he jumped a little too early. It looks like he's maybe tweaked his back a little bit. Let's watch another pitch down the middle, getting it up in the zone. He's got to keep it down. We talked about that in the pregame. But Robbie Grossman just didn't get to this ball, and he jumps for it, but he's not to it yet. And then hits the wall kind of funny. His hip ends up crashing against it.
Now the number 9 batter, Chirinos, fouled back. But Chirinos trying to turn on a pitch left up.
No matter what the score is, Tyler Duffey still has to try to execute his game plan, and that game plan should be keeping the ball down and allowing for it to move. When he gets the ball up, he doesn't have enough giddy up to get it by hitters. It doesn't move as much when he's up. He flattens it out because his lower body's rushing too much.
Not 2 strikes.
I wish I could see that mark on the mound and whether he's still throwing across his body, but it looks to me like he's getting a little more straight and flying open a little.
Well, he has a chance with the big lead and a decent pitch count. This will be his 55th pitch. He's got a chance to go deep into a ball game again.
Yeah, and one way that a catcher can help out a pitcher that might be struggling with that is to try to throw it down and in, because that's going to keep you closed longer, and you're going to have, be able to execute what your game plan was. When you try to start setting up a way, that leads you to try to fly open a little bit.
Let's see where the plant foot has landed. It looks like it's right.
Pretty much in the same spot.
Right. 0-2. Duffey trying to wrap things up here in the 4th inning on his 56th pitch. Breaking ball laid off. 1-2. Taking more time between pitches. Fastball up and away.
Another thing I think is a tendency for young pitchers. You get a big lead like this, you want to rush through it. You want to get back in the dugout before it's time, and the tendency to rush yourself.
Deep to left. That's a 2-run home run. And Duffy's having a tough time with Chirinos, who got a single in the 2nd. Now a 2-run home run. And the Rangers have a crooked number on the board.
Well, Duffy's surprising people this year with the amount of home runs he's given up. His stamp on what he was all about when he got called up last year was a guy that just did not allow home runs. And of course, Toronto showed him that this is the big leagues, his first time out there. But this year, quite high of home runs, and that was just a bad pitch. A breaking ball that's left right over the middle.
And that got home plate umpire Lance Barrett. That's not going to feel good for a while. The Rangers aren't done. The Twins still leading comfortably, but a nice response by the Rangers with a couple of home runs against Duffy here in the 4th.
I'm really surprised. Unrelated subject here, but it is somewhat related. I'm really surprised that home plate umpires don't have some kind of arm protection. They've got the shoulder pads, you can see that, and the chest protector underneath their shirt, but nothing to protect their arms. And foul tips hurt just as much on the forearm, the elbow, the wrist, the hand as it does anywhere else.
And as we've shown, and fans can see from the center field camera, they leave themselves so exposed, looking over the inside corner over the catcher's shoulder.
strike. That's the way they are instructed in umpire school. Everybody does it. And they are very vulnerable because 75% of their torso is exposed to a foul tip. Chopped to the right side. And Duffy's going to have some choice words for himself after giving up a couple of home runs and 3 runs in the 4th. Got a lot to get caught up on.
Crazy first inning where Chichi Gonzalez threw 38 pitches. The Twins put 4 on the board. A lot of miscues. He didn't get any help from his infield. And you can see the Twins took advantage of it. They're putting 4 on the board early. Max Kepler having a nice day at the plate. 3-run homer. That was back in the 2nd inning. And then Miguel Sano last half inning, a 2-run homer. The Twins' young hitters are starting to show their promise. Tyler Duffy, a lot of runs to work with. He's done okay. Gave up a home run that didn't help him any. A couple of them.
Kepler lifts the first pitch to left field toward the line. Rua makes the catch, 1 away. That'll bring up Robbie Grossman. Only in Minnesota can you experience the artistic culture and exciting yet distinctive opportunities for date nights, nights out, and fun new area charm, be it our award-winning restaurants, exquisite shopping, or growing winery and brewery scene. Each night you can be entertained, make your own plans, find endless ideas for the perfect getaway at exploreminnesota.com and share your favorites with #OnlyInMN. Grossman's first plate appearance, Escobar went 0 for 2, scored a run, and appeared to injure himself in the process. And if we get an update on his condition as to what the issue is, we'll pass it along to you. One and 1. Popped up behind second base. Long run for Andrus, and Desmond calls him off, 2 away. August 9th is North Dakota State University night at Target Field. A limited number of NDSU theme night ticket packages are available that include a game ticket and a green, white, and yellow Twins cap. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/NDSU or call 800-33-TWINS. Here's Danny Santana back in the left-handed batter's box. Strike 1.
First at bat, he was hitting left-handed off of Rodriguez. His second at bat off Cesar Ramos, batting right-handed. Now turns back around left-handed here against Luke Jackson.
Just outside, 1-1. Right side, Moreland will get to the bag a step ahead of Santana. The Twins go down 1-2-3. The 11-4 going to the 5th inning. Ian Desmond is 0 for 2. Our Toyota Key stat involves Desmond. Prior to today, he played in 80 games for the Rangers, and in almost half of them, he's had at least 2 hits. Pretty good impact and a pretty good first impression for the impending free agent. He will be a free agent after this year, as he was this year. A lot of motivation for Ian Desmond to have a good year. 1-1.
Yeah, you got to wonder what's going through his mind. You know, Washington playing good baseball over there. Daniel Murphy also on that list. Came from the Mets and now with the Nationals, and the two of them would have had 40 or 68 multi-hit games.
Mauer on the warning track, catches a foul pop, 1 away, and let's go to Marty Gellner.
Well, we're inside the Minnesota Lottery Winners Circle, guys, which means we have $100 worth of scratch-off lottery tickets today for Carmen, who's holding the sign for her brother Jim. It's Jim's birthday today, and his family is with us. More sisters and nieces behind us. But Carmen's a little more excited about Jim's birthday today. Why is that, Carmen?
Jim is 60 today, and we are celebrating his 60th birthday here at the Twins game.
But Jim, why are you salty? Every time I ask you about your birthday, you just grunt and frown.
Well, that can change, I guess, as the day goes on. But I'm 60. I made it. I'm glad I'm here, and I'd rather be here than anywhere else in Minnesota today with the Twins.
Well, there you go. That's a pretty good attitude. I think we just perked you up a little bit. Happy birthday, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Jim, someday I'll be that old. 60. That was a good year.
You speak of that in the past tense, as I do.
It is.
Yeah. Fielder the batter, 2-1. I'll bet you're like me, though. You don't feel that old, do you?
No, I don't even think about it. It's just a number.
Right side of my body feels 90, and the left side of my body feels 30, so it feels about right.
Well, you know, as pitchers, we all have hip replacements, so.
I'm drilled foul. Now, for you, when it was your right hip, right?
Correct.
And that was the case with Bert, too.
Correct.
And I would have thought just the opposite. It's the push-off leg instead of the plant leg. That surprised me.
Yeah. A lot of torque.
2-2. With 1 away here in the 5th. Duffy would like to have a very clean and quick inning. That one got away. 3-2.
Duffy had a real quick third inning, 9-pitch inning. Last inning, give up a couple home runs, 3 hits, a 23-pitch inning. So just has to kind of regroup and throw strikes.
Softly hit.
That helps right there.
Over to Mauer, 2 away. We'll bring up Beltre. Time now for greater coverage of baseball presented by T-Mobile. And this guy, to me, is one of my favorite players I've ever seen play because he leaves everything he has on the field. He's great in the clubhouse. And in my book, he will be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I totally agree with that. I think he's going to play a long enough career to get at least another, what does he need, 150 hits to that magical 3,000. He should get that. He's been great, no question, and a leader and a baseball player.
You know, there was a game, one of the few losses that the Rangers had. They've only lost 29 ball games, and it was about a month ago, and I think they lost in a walk-off fashion. And the camera got a shot of Beltre, and he stayed on the field for a while, inside around the hands, and he had the very terse look on his face. He didn't just immediately walk off the field, and it might have been an error involved or something, but he felt really upset about losing that particular game. And if I noticed it, I'm sure in the clubhouse his teammates noticed. This guy doesn't like to lose. Until the 27th out, he's not going to accept losing.
Well, I've always said, show me a guy who likes to lose, and I'll show you a loser.
Down in the dirt. In the playoffs last year, basically was playing on one leg.
He was.
And his performance suffered.
Bad back, too.
He still got 4 hits and 9 at bats in the 3 games. All singles. Could hardly move. To the right field corner. Chased by Kepler. And that ball is a foul ball. Looked like it hit off the sidewall.
You look at guys and you talk about Hall of Fame and throw the numbers out. What distinguishes him? Well, he's made every team he's ever played on better. They come to a new level because of his energy, because of his drive, because of his wanting to win. And, you know, he does it day in and day out. It's example, not just talk.
Coming back our way. You know, and if you're looking at the lineup and you're looking at all these players from diverse nationalities, Korea, United States, the Latin American countries, and this guy commands the respect of everybody from every part of the globe because of how he plays. Santana slings on target to Mauer, and a good 1-2-3 recovery inning for Tyler Duffy. Pepsi fans of the game enjoying a beautiful Saturday afternoon at Target Field. An encouraging scoreboard as well. Twins in front comfortably, 11-4. Juan Centeno, a 2-run single in the 4-run first. Then with 1 out, he was hit by a pitch. Came in on Buxton's triple. Luke Jackson had a 1-2-3 fourth. Now he's got a 1-1 count with Centeno.
Twins with a comfortable lead here, and there's a little bit of glimmer of hope down the road as we move forward and look towards the future with this ball club of some of the players that we feel, I know you and I do, Dick, that will be part of the solution as we move forward. That guy right there, Miguel Sano, and that guy right there, Max Kepler, both having good days at the plate. Byron Buxton doing a good job. Centeno has had a good day at the plate.
And he grounds a single off the glove or torso of Odor. Leadoff hit. That'll get Buxton to the plate. Games like this are, you're right, encouraging because Twins now with 8 hits, but the most significant hits in today's game have come from players who figure to be part of the solution.
Yep.
And Centeno gets his 2nd hit of the ball game, but Buxton with an RBI triple.
Well, I think it's important for fans to understand that there's growing pains with young players, but days like today are a reminder of what could be, and it's fun to watch. This guy, some of the greatest speed the game has seen in several years, in my opinion. His average is not anywhere near what we project it to be down the road.
One of the disappointing things for me, and I think for a lot of Twins fans, we were told that Byron Buxton had made some improvements at AAA and was going to come back as a more polished product. And then about the time he was called up, in fact, the very next game, Miguel Sano went out with a hamstring injury. Fouled back. And I think there's this curiosity, if not excitement, of seeing what these two guys can do when they're in the lineup together. Now, this Twins lineup actually had a decent month of June without Sano. And, you know, if you watch baseball at this level for any length of time, 2-1 to Buxton. Strike 2. It's always amazing what one extra guy in the lineup can do for everybody else. I think we're seeing it in the Ranger side with Ian Desmond. Yep. He just makes that lineup really, really good, and he wasn't even with them last year. 2-2. So let's see in July, if Buxton and Sano are both healthy, what the run production is like in July compared to June.
It's just my opinion. It's certainly not the opinion of anybody else. But I feel like Byron Buxton has to learn at this level that hitting 300 in AAA wasn't doing him any good. And he's made this club better because of his defense alone. And yes, we're going to have to go through some patience and waiting for him to get it all together. But can you see the day ahead where maybe Byron Buxton's hitting in front of Miguel Sano, that he's on base when Sano starts knocking the ball all over, and Kepler with good speed. And those three guys are maybe 2, 3, 4 in the lineup.
Another 3-2 to Buxton. Off the middle. And Buxton has his 2nd hit. Centeno checks in at second base. So a good at bat there. He ran the count full, fouled off at least 1 2-strike pitch, and then put the ball in play for a hit. Join Fox Sports North at the next viewing party July 7th. It's a Thursday beginning at 6:30 p.m. at Sunshine Factory in Plymouth. I remember the Sunshine Factory. Been there for a long, long time. Watch Minnesota take on Texas. Enjoy drink specials. Register for tickets and prizes and more. Visit foxsportsnorth.com and click on upcoming events on the Hot Topics bar. Pair of hits to start the 5th. Back to the top of the order, and Eduardo Nunez. You know, and then we talk about Kepler's big 3-run home run. Sano's 2-run home run. And now 2 hits tonight or today for Buxton. There isn't anybody in the organization. Now Nunez spanks one up the middle. And Centeno around third. He's coming home. The throw from Desmond not in time. 3 singles to start the 5th inning and an insurance run for the Twins.
Well, quietly, Eduardo Nunez having a big day himself. 2 doubles and now a single, a pair of RBI. Byron Buxton would have, no question, would have gone to third base on this particular hit. But he had Centeno in front of him. He had to pick up whether or not Gene Glenn was going to send him, so he stays at second.
And there isn't anybody in the organization that's forgotten Eddie Rosario. As we mentioned, he's hitting really well at AAA and drawing some walks. We expect he'll be back here at some point. But again, this year, Jack, has been a reminder that if you don't have starting pitching, you could have the 1927 Yankees, but it's not going to help.
Well, you're going to lose half your games anyway.
Here's Bauer, single and a run scored his last time up. He scored twice. Everybody in the lineup has scored at least once except Danny Santana. One and 0. Down and away. 2-0.
And again, just a reminder of the difference in pitching. Yesterday, Martin Perez pitched effectively. The Twins did muster 2 runs with Trevor Plouffe's home run. But 7 strong innings from Perez. Tomorrow, Cole Hamels, 9-game winner. It could be a different story again for the Twins. So taking advantage of what's given to you today. The pitching for the Rangers not up to par, and the Twins have put a lot of numbers on the board. 12 runs.
Jackson had a good 4th inning, but now 3 singles here to start the 5th.
There's tomorrow's starter, Cole Hamels.
Trip to the mound, and nobody warming up in the bullpen. So the message was, this is your inning, son. And now he's loaded the bases for Sano. This might be one of those games where the Rangers, because their bullpen has kind of been beaten up too, and they're going with 12 pitchers, not 13. Here's Sano's towering home run in the 3rd. And the Twins have also gotten a home run from Max Kepler with 2 men on. And Sano comes up here with the bases loaded. And 1 run already in. Ball 1. The reason I bring it up is there's no one warming up. And this inning could get ugly in a hurry as Jackson tries to pitch through the middle of the Twins lineup. But this might be one of those games where a position player might be pitching for the Rangers before day's end. A strike and a good one. Down and away, 1-1.
I remember early in my career when Sparky Anderson came over and I had pitched maybe a year or 2 for him. He handed me the ball one day and said, don't look for any help. Bullpen shot, you're out there. And that number right there, 12, that's what I gave up in that game. Because I had no help. And
he wasn't kidding.
No, he was not kidding. And I think it was 4 starts later, same thing. I gave up 13. So 25 runs in 2 games. And I'll never forget it. It took all year to get my ERA under 4 again, all year long. And it taught me a lesson that you don't need help if you're doing it right. I struggled, and then it got worse and worse, and I was walking guys and putting guys in scoring position all the time. And more than anything else, I thought it was a great lesson for Sparky. Get yourself out of your own mess. Figure it out.
Long term, it might have done you a world of good.
Yeah.
2-2 to Sano. And now full count. Dozier on deck. The problem for the Rangers started early when starter Chichi Gonzalez could not get out of the 1st inning. He faced 8 men, only got 2 outs. Wasn't all his fault. In fact, you could make a case it was
1 earned run.
1 earned run. Some defensive betrayal behind him in the infield. 3-2 to Sano. And he took ball 4, and he'll get another run batted in with a bases loaded walk. Nobody out here in the inning. Still nobody warming up in the Ranger bullpen.
Who do you think would be the position player to come in and pitch?
Well, I don't know. I would guess one of the 2 backup catchers, but I don't know.
I would not guess either one of those guys.
You would?
No. You got to look at their body type.
Why?
Well,
here's Dozier with the bases loaded.
But I see your point. It would have to be a backup guy, more than likely.
Fly ball to center should be deep enough to score Nunez. And Desmond with the catch. Desmond's not afraid to airmail at home. He's missed the cutoff man, I think, on 3 throws already in this series. Dozier driving in run number 39 on the season. I suppose you can do that given the score. Bauer's not going to try to go to third with the Twins leading by such a big margin. So Desmond lets it fly. 3 runs in the inning. 1 away. And now here's Kepler. 4 runs batted in for Kepler. A ground ball scoring a run in the first. And a big 2-out, 3-run home run in the second. Twins had a 4-1 lead at the time. And were in danger of wasting Nunez's second leadoff double. 1-1. Deep to right field again. This is back. Another 3-run home run for Max Kepler. Seven runs batted in for Kepler. And we're only in the 5th inning.
That's a great week right there. For some guys, a good month. And he's done it here with 1 ball game.
The club record for runs batted in a game is 8. Len Adams and Randy Bush share the record. And like Kepler, both those guys were left-handed batters.
All I know is my scorecard's got a whole bunch of yellow dots on it.
I like the line score. Look at it. 4-3-4-0-6.
17. 17's a pretty number. That's a.
Now the Rangers do have some activity in the bullpen, but this, as we suspected, this inning has really gotten ugly for Luke Jackson. 6 runs on 4 hits, and it's 2-0 to Grossman. Fouled back. A strike call, 2-2.
I think this is a great example of why you play out a baseball game. Vegas, you and I, nobody would have had the odds of 17 runs scored today for the Twins.
And they're not done.
No, it's a lot of baseball left.
That's a hit for Grossman. Struggling from the left side of the plate a little bit. Given the score, he'll hold up with a single.
Take one more look at Max Kepler, his last at bat. Fastball down over the plate. And that swing, boy, it's a long swing, but generates a lot of bat speed. And point of contact, perfect, right out in front. I know Roy talks about his front shoulder and how still his head stays. All keys to a good swing. Max, what a day.
Second bat around inning for the Twins.
They're going to start watching baseball in Germany.
Santana 0 for 2 with a walk. He started in left field and moved to short when Escobar went out with a yet undisclosed injury.
You mentioned Danny, the only Twins player that hasn't scored. Him and Dozier are the only ones without a hit in the lineup. 12 hits already for the Twins, 17 runs scored. And of course, every base on ball except Danny Santana's walk in the first inning has crossed home plate.
Pretty well to center, and Desmond goes back. It's only the second out of the inning. And Centeno will bat for the second time here in the fifth. The Twins flex plan gives you the flexibility to choose your games and your number of seats. Choose in advance or even the day of the game. So don't plan, flex plan. Go to twinsbaseball.com/flex or call 800-33-TWINS to learn more. And Jackson mercifully will be relieved here. He gave the Rangers a 1-2-3-4, but all sorts of trouble here in the fifth with 6 runs on the board. It's not a misprint. 17-4, and we're just in the fifth inning with 2 out. And the Rangers are already on their 4th pitcher. They only got 2/3 of an inning from their starter, Sean Tollison. They closed some games for the Rangers, but you can look at the numbers and they're not very attractive.
Well, you probably don't want to be the guy to come into this kind of ball game, but you need some work, and they need to have him get back on track. Tollison, like you mentioned, 4th pitcher for the Rangers. 2/3 from Gonzalez, 2 1/3 from Ramos, 1 2/3 from Jackson.
Strike 1 to Centeno. Checked his swing. And a strike call, says Bob Davidson. And Centeno strikes out. That ends another good inning for the Twins, highlighted by Max Kepler's second 3-run home run. He's got 7 runs batted in today, and that's a new Twins rookie record. For Max Kepler, he drove in maybe the most important run in the first inning. Just one there, but 2 3-run home runs, and he's now set the Twins rookie record for runs batted in a game with 7. And again, the club record is 8, set by Glenn Adams and Randy Bush. Lifted foul, and Sano has no play. Duffy out there, and now giving up a base hit on his 81st pitch. Back to our Carsoup.com trivia question. Which starting pitcher's won the most day games in Twins history? It's got to be Jim Kaat, doesn't it? 101 games in the day that he won.
Better him than me. Never liked day games.
Really?
I don't wake up till 5. My body doesn't. I'm awake at 7, but my body doesn't wake up till 3, 4 in the afternoon.
Really? Strike one to Ryan Rua. Been a good day for Twins hitters, and a good day for Ryan Rua on the Texas side with a single and a run scored in the second. And he clobbered his 7th home run of the year in the 4th. Breaking ball over the inside corner, 0-2.
Duffy pitching into the 6th inning here now, and should be the pitcher of record, should be the Twins starter to get another win here. But the real question is, will he finish the 6th, maybe through the 7th?
Oh, I think that would be the hope.
Yeah.
I think one of the objectives for the second half of the year in July or August is to somehow get down to 12 pitchers. I think we saw last night the value of having an extra bench player. In the case of the Rangers, they had 2 catchers so they could pinch hit for 1. And Profar came up with a 2-run pinch hit single that put the Rangers on the board. And there really is so little you can do as a manager in terms of managing a game with essentially a 2-man bench. You got your backup catcher, and most managers are reluctant to make that change. So you got somebody to protect your outfield, somebody to protect your infield. Maybe one guy can run, maybe one guy has some power, and that's it.
Well, the game has evolved with so many pitchers in the bullpen that you just don't have the luxury of a decade or 2 ago where, you know, more position players to piece it together late in the game.
Snap bat, ouch, that awful sound. And Sano fires a throw to Dozier, who's able to make the catch and avoid a collision with Odor. Oh, I hate that sound.
It's the greatest sound ever. Oh, better than 10 strikeouts right there.
1 down, and now Moreland.
Duffy has completed 5 innings in 8 of his 12 starts, so that's a plus. And you know, you look at the start that Chichi Gonzalez had and the ripple effect it's had on this bullpen, having tried to piece it better together because you can't get through the first inning. That's what really can hurt a ball club for a week or more sometimes, if the bullpen's got to be used for more than 1 inning, several guys. Of course, Texas is going to hope now that tomorrow's starter, Cole Hamels, has a kind of game that they're used to him having.
Down the left field line, Grossman playing back near the warning track, makes the catch, and out number 2. And that'll bring up Andrus. You know, and that was not so much the first couple weeks of the year, but Twins very quickly had to go to 13 pitchers because of what you're talking about. Too many short starts. And what's lost too, I think, is the impact it's had on guys like Ryan Presley, who was overworked, swinging a foul. That's Centeno. You know, it's easy for us to say, wow, the Twins have played 65 games and Presley's pitched in 31 of them, but what you know, the human element would tell you that that's probably too much of a workload, and Presley would be much more effective if he could have been kept out of 5 or 6 of those games.
I really believe it's an individual thing. Some guys can throw the ball every day. Some guys need 2 days off between. Some guys need 3. You know, for generations now, baseball has looked at the starters to need 4 days off and pitch on the 5th day. Some managers want a rotation of a 6-man rotation. So it's an individual thing and how your body reacts after a number of pitches. And of course, that number of pitches affects the way your body's going to respond the next time out. You throw 10 pitches, you should be able to bounce back. You throw 110 pitches and it's going to take longer for your body to recover and you get back. But a lot of things go into play there.
And the dirt. 2-2.
I know the Sabre guys, they would love to just have robots. That way they could always plug it in and never question it. But the human element says it's going to always be different than what you think it's going to be.
Check swing. No, 3-2. It's easy for me to say this because I'm not the one paying the salaries, but I just think that rosters have been late in expanding because of, you know, we live in an era of specialization out of the bullpen. Chopper to third, Sano will rifle his throw across the diamond and get Andrus by a step. A lead-off single, no harm done, and a scoreless 6. Is presented by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. And by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. 17-4. The club record for runs scored in the game is 24. And the Twins are going to take some swings here in the 6th inning. Byron Buxton has picked up a couple of hits, an RBI triple, 2 runs scored. Inside, ball 1. We've seen Buxton, for the most part, give the Twins better at bats over the last few games. A couple of hits here today has gotten his batting average over 200. And that's going to hurt for a while. 1-1.
I really think there is a period of time for all young players, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, that you are so anxious to show that you belong that you're inhibited from your abilities. And once you finally relax, once you realize they're going to give you time, once you understand that, then your ability takes over and you start becoming the guy that you were at other levels. And hopefully Buxton here in the second half before next year starts will get to that point. And you know, I think Sano already understands it. Kepler might be you know, it's hard to say whether we're seeing the kind of thing that we saw from Danny Santana, Kenny Vargas, where we saw a really good couple months and then sophomore year a relapse. But you hope that their intelligence level, and it's not really so much about intelligence, just their really how relaxed they are. They can still maintain what they know they can do and have confidence.
Swing and a miss. Buxton strikes out. Well, it's interesting. Today, I spent about 10 minutes with Texas right fielder Shin-Soo Choo talking about Byung-ho Park. They're both from South Korea, of course, and that's kind of what Choo was telling me, that he experienced it, and even more so for Park. Park came here with an enormous amount of pressure from his homeland. Now we talk about the transition of getting used to the culture here and the way the game is played here, and that's substantial enough. But Choo talked with Park yesterday as the Rangers were getting ready to, you know, start the series here, and Park was on his way to Rochester. One strike and a half swing, but he went. And we can relate more of the story, you know, throughout this series and next weekend. But Choo, I thought, was very insightful about what Park has had to go through, because basically, you know, pick a player. He was Miguel Cabrera going to a different country. 0-2. As the most feared slugger in South Korea, he wanted to play over here for 3 years and put up numbers that interested the Twins and a lot of other teams. And just an awful lot of pressure that we aren't even conscious of, because we're just waiting for him to, you know, catch up to a 93-mile-per-hour fastball. But internal pressure, because the entire country of South Korea is watching this man try to make the transition to the big league scene here.
Yeah, it's a little different than 14 friends and a couple relatives from Highland Park watching a young Jack Morris.
Right.
I get it. And that is a good point.
Choo said he struggled. He said he was in this country about 10 years before he really felt comfortable here. And that's just the cultural thing. He didn't come over here with the fanfare that Park did.
Sure.
One strike to Mauer. And a strike. 0-2.
Well, hopefully Byung-ho Park will go down to Rochester and be a little more relaxed and start remembering. And I think the only thing that players can do is reflect on what worked, what was going right when you had success.
And Mauer on a check swing, strikes out. 2 away. And that'll bring up Sano.
I think we're overlooking the fact, we didn't even mention it, but Eduardo Nunez on base again, 4th hit of the game.
Yeah, hitless last night, and a clear front runner to represent the Twins at the All-Star game now, with the batting average moving up into the 320s. Word on Eduardo Escobar. Oh, so no. That is the definition of a defensive swing in the inning end. Escobar left the game with a strained left hamstring. Take a look at the Grand Casino story of the game, and it's like War and Peace.
First inning, a little tough luck for Chichi Gonzalez, the starter for the Rangers. The Rangers infield booting the ball all over this place didn't help him much. Eduardo Nunez having a great day with 4 hits. Everybody really in the Twins side have been spanking the ball all over the place. Miguel Sano with a big skying home run, a 2-run homer there. But how about Max Kepler, the day of his career so far, 8 RBI. Excuse me, 6 RBIs, 7 RBIs, and 2 home runs there, almost in the same spot. All smiles for Kepler, and all smiles for Twins fans. It's been a one lopsided game here with 17 runs and 13 hits.
Not a quality start for Twin starter Tyler Duffy, but he got through 6 innings, gave up 4 runs. Looks like he'll pick up the win with Michael Tonkin asked to get some outs here in the 7th. Chirinos, the batter. Inside, ball 1. Chirinos, Chu, and Desmond scheduled. One and one. And down low, 2-1.
Michael Tonkin last pitched in Chicago, a third of an inning.
On the outside corner. Talk so much about position players and guys in Rochester that might be here. Eddie Rosario, Jorge Polanco, perhaps. John Ryan Murphy. JT Chagua, who got half a cup of coffee in a call up earlier.
He'll represent the Twins in the Futures game, the All-Star game.
And I would expect he'll be back here at some point later this year.
I hope so. I can't wait to start calling him Shaggy, and he's got to have a whole bunch of nicknames.
Two and 2 to Chirinos. And inside, a soft line drive foul.
Third at bat here for the catcher Robinson Chirinos. A base hit in the 2nd inning and a home run, a 2-run home run in the bottom or top of the 4th inning.
Way out in front of the breaking ball, and Tonkin starts his afternoon with a strikeout. In recognition of this July 4th weekend, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with The Mission Continues, empowering veterans who are adjusting to life at home and finding purpose through community impact. Visit foxsportsupports.com to learn more. One down in the 7th, and now Shin-Soo Choo. Swing and a miss. Chu with a fly ball, a strikeout, and a ground out. And a deep drive to right. And Chu hits his 5th home run of the year.
No doubter right there. Michael Tonkin just doing what he probably wants to do, throw strikes. Can't walk anybody, makes a mistake up over the plate, and Chu, who's shown that he does have power all the years in Cleveland, now with the Texas Rangers for a few years. Get to see it again. Pitches right up in the wheelhouse there. Upper part of the strike zone, middle half of the plate.
Fox Tracks was presented by Carrier. And now here's Desmond, excuse me, Nomar Mazara is hitting at Desmond's spot. Desmond held hitless today. Didn't get a ball out of the infield. Sliced foul into the seats. The Cleveland Indian winning streak is over. Toronto got 3 in the 8th. They beat Cleveland 9-6. This one hit well to left center field. Grossman back and over, and that's off the wall, and the carom to Buxton. And a home run is followed by a Mazara double. That'll bring up Fielder. Fielder with a double his first time up. Since then, a couple of ground balls to the right side.
There's just a different feel about a game like today. It's not like a close ball game where both teams are on their toes and intense and knowing that every pitch and every play is critical. These are kind of games where it's almost like you're playing t-ball again. You go up there and you wonder how far the guy's going to hit it, and you have to run after the ball if you're an outfielder. And I don't know, it just has a different feel.
1-1. And there haven't been nearly enough of these wide open games in favor of the Twins this year. Talking about that with the 5 walk-off home runs. Twins struggling to win games, and so many of them have been walk-off victories. It's nice to have one like this, entertaining for the fans.
Yeah, it's the first one like it this year, especially at home. Twins fans can come here and just kind of relax, soak up the sun, have some good chow.
Wait for the next Max Kepler at bat. Fielder strikes out, 2 down. They'll ring up Beltre. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. You can watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Jurickson Profar delivered the big pinch hit 2-run single in the ball game last night. Will hit in Beltre's spot. And now 0-2. Tony Barnett warming up. So he'll get the 7th inning. And then we'll see whether the Rangers get a position player to play. Mazara and Profar are in the game. The backup catchers are still eligible. Of course, that was one of the crazy things about the 14th win in a row for the Indians yesterday. Blue Jays ended up using 2 position players to pitch in a 1-1 game. And finally, Darwin Barney gave up a home run to Carlos Santana. And I was trying to think, was it last year or the year before, Chris Davis of the Orioles, in a similar situation, I think in the 16th inning, actually got the win for the Orioles. And he didn't, I don't know what he did at the plate that day, but they brought him in to pitch. Then the Orioles scored. And Chris Davis, in addition to signing a huge contract, hitting all the home runs, he's got a major league win.
Yeah, go renegotiate. Call your agent.
I wonder if that was brought up as they were negotiating during the offseason. Hey,
perfect.
I'm 1-0.
Perfect on the hill.
Yeah. 2-2. Now, it's one thing when a position player does it in a novelty or game like this, or an unusual lopsided game like this, and we may see it later today. But it's quite another to ask position players to pitch in a competitive game. And the Blue Jays had to do it twice. Ryan Goins, and then there's a dribbler up the line, and that's going to stay foul. And then Barney ended up taking the loss.
Manager John Gibbons was ejected in that game. You wonder,
he's ejected in the first inning.
Was he back at home having a steak, a little barbecue out there, or was he in the clubhouse for what seemed like 6 hours?
Somebody tweeted a picture of a solitary man sitting by himself on top of the CN Tower, suggesting that it was Gibbons.
No, I know Gibby. He wouldn't waste his time up there.
2-2. Tonkin trying to wrap up business with his 24th pitch, and there he got it. Breaking ball over the inside corner. Home run and a double for the Rangers, and they get 1 run closer. But Max Kepler will hit in the 7th. He's already driven in 7 runs today. A chance for the club record of 8. Day here today.
A couple of bombs from Max Kepler, both 3-run home runs, both up by those flowers that overhang in right field. Here's his 2nd home run back in the 5th inning. He's got to be having some kind of fun on this one.
And he'll hit 2nd this inning right after Brian Dozier. Kepler, quite an athlete in Germany, played baseball, soccer, tennis, swimming, skiing. Given a tennis scholarship to the Steffi Graf Tennis Foundation. Tony Oliva, Oswaldo Arcia, Miguel Sano with the prior rookie record of 6. And for history to be made here and a new record to be set, Dozier needs to get on base.
Now they're facing a new pitcher for the Rangers, Tony Barnett. Will be the 5th pitcher.
Dozier has reached twice, scored twice, and driven in a run with a fly ball. 1-2. Mentioned the record is 8, held by Glenn Adams and Randy Bush. And I remember when Randy Bush did it, and ironically, he did it against the Texas Rangers in Arlington. And he capped his wonderful night off by hitting a 3-run home run against a position player. Jeff Kunkel. Beltre fires it across, not Beltre, Profar. 1 down, and here's Kepler, and in this 7th inning at bat, the best he can do is homer here and tie the record. 2 3-run home runs, 7 runs batted in, 22 on the season. Kepler talked about what you were talking about before. There's a ball chipped foul. How, and this was 50 at bats ago or so, how he wasn't intimidated by the moment as much anymore. The crowds, the pressure, he just felt more comfortable up here.
It is funny how as a kid, as a young player, you sense the big league environment. You see ballparks that you haven't seen before. There's people there and they're all yelling and screaming, good and bad, and you're not used to it. But it doesn't take players that long to realize that's just white noise, and when it's all said and done.
Wow. A pretty well hit ball to center, but out number 2. And that'll bring up Grossman.
Just a reminder, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent to the Minnesota Twins.
2 down, and now Grossman, who entered the game when Eduardo Escobar left the game with a strained left hamstring, and the word from the Twins is he's day-to-day, of course. The problem you've got, if you're Paul Molitor, you've got Trevor Plouffe, who's
his legs
banged up, right? And with 3 bench players, it's tough enough to carry one guy who can't play back to back to back. And I don't know how severe the hamstring injury is to Escobar, but you're basically with a 3-man bench. If you've got those 2 guys sitting tomorrow, you don't have any bench moves. Swing and a miss, 1 and 2, other than the backup catcher.
Yeah, and you hesitate to ever use those in case your catcher does get hurt. Now that guy can't get hurt,
so we'll see whether the injury news regarding Escobar prompts a roster move of some sort.
As crazy as this season has been, you've got to almost feel for manager Paul Molitor. The fact that he probably has only had a handful of games where he's actually got to manage. Most of it is damage control. Most of it is trying to piece it back together and keep guys so that they can perform tomorrow, the next day, and actually pulling off moves that managers like to pull off to help maybe influence a game and a win. He really hasn't had that many opportunities.
Full count to Grossman. And a walk. Grossman will go to first. And here's Escobar, who started the game at shortstop, scored in the first inning, and appeared to hurt himself when he slid across home plate.
Yeah, he did have another at bat after this. He thought maybe he was going to come out of the game right there. His next at bat.
Yeah,
right.
That I
right
did
on
not
the
see.
swing.
Yep, hobbling.
Yep.
And so he came out. Grossman went to left, and Santana came in.
Pitching change.
Shortstop. Pitching change with 2 gone in the 7th. Up catcher, put him on the mound here in the 7th inning. First career pitching appearance. Down low, ball 1.
I wonder who feels more awkward, the guy that's actually throwing as a position player or the hitter that has to face. It's like Holiday's trying to throw a little bit of a knuckleball. I'm sure he works on that every day.
2-0 to Santana. And a strike. When the Twins most recently did it, it was Drew Butera who came into a ball game. Here's Santana popping it up to left field. And Drew Butera, in one at bat against Carlos Gomez, struck him out. 94 miles per hour and a 78 mile per hour changeup.
Update: the Twins weekend series with Texas comes to a close tomorrow afternoon. Anthony LaPanta and Tim Lugger get you ready for the series finale with Twins Live starting at 12:30. Then Dick and Jack bring you the call. Twins take aim at Texas Sunday afternoon on Fox Sports North.
And it sure looks as if the Twins will be in position to win the series tomorrow. They're leading 17-5. We go to the 8th inning. Buddy Boshiers will pitch next for the Twins.
Yeah, Buddy Boshiers in his 15th game. He's pitched in 14 games since his contract was selected back on May 25th, and done a pretty good job. A pleasant surprise for Paul Molitor. Not the easiest game to come and pitch in. You've got a huge lead. You've got to try to focus. This is all about being a pro right here. You've got to come in there and pretend it's a 1-1 game or a 0-0 game.
Odor with a swing and a foul, 1 strike. And strike 2. Dozier, quick flip, got him. To accelerate things a little bit with Odor streaking down the line, 1 away.
Not an easy play for a second baseman when you have to charge the ball and get rid of it on the run the way Brian Dozier has to do on this particular play. It's never going to be easy because Odor forced all that because of his leg speed. Dozier didn't panic though. The hardest part, I think, is throwing the ball with a little bit something on it when the guy's only 15, 20 feet away from you, and Joe Mauer reacting to it well.
Yeah, that would have to be tougher, I would think, on the receiver of the throw than the guy who threw it.
You just don't know how hard he's going to throw it and where he's going to throw it.
Where do I have to move the glove? Got to go backhand side, up, down. 1 strike. Down and in, 1-1. A good day for Rua. Been on base 3 times, 2 hits, 2 runs scored, including a home run. And a ball, 2-1. And a strike.
It's my first look at Brian Rua, and I'm impressed. A lot of things he does well.
Two and two. That's what you look for, a team that contends, as the Rangers obviously did last year and again this year. And then within those seasons, blending young players in, whether it's Mazara, Rua. And if the Rangers are going to go anywhere in the postseason, assuming they make it, it'll be because of their pitching. But you know, they've, and I guess that's been their history of having great, developing great position players, hitters.
The one, I think of Texas Rangers and I think of the possibility of them being world champs, and all I can think of is Nelson Cruz clanking a ball in right field when the game should have been won.
Santana throws low. Mauer gathers it in on the first hop. Cruz was in right field back then. It would have been the final out of the World Series, and then David Freese took over. They won Game 6 and Game 7. You just don't.
Can never assume anything.
But you don't get those opportunities very often. If he broke his arm or leg crashing into the wall, but if he made the catch, he'd never have to work another day in his life. I mean, he'd be a hero throughout Texas. 2 down. And fouled away by Moreland. Moreland with a single his first time up. And another foul ball, 2 strikes. Bullpen has had to undergo a major, more than a facelift, a tummy tuck, whatever. They've had a lot of plastic surgery to this Twins bullpen with Perkins out. Even Hughes was a reliever when he left the lineup, the roster, because of a broken leg. Brian O'Rourke, ground ball, nice pickup by Dozier. And Buddy Boshears has a 3 ground ball out, 1-2-3, 8th inning.
Nunez is the Twins' designated hitter this afternoon, a position he hasn't played all that often, but he's done it well today. When I talked to him before the game, Nunez said he doesn't really have a set routine as a DH. He just tries to keep his body loose and keep his mind sharp, and he has done that very well this afternoon, going 4 for 4 at the plate today for Minnesota, part of the 17 runs that the Twins have put on the board against the Rangers. And coming up after the game, we'll bring you Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink, where we will look at a whole lot of Minnesota offense, including Max Kepler, his pair of 3-run home runs. Nunez and Sano contributing offensively. Miguel has those 3 runs knocked in, and we'll see how Paul Molitor felt about this one today. I got to imagine, Dick and Jack, that it's a pretty happy and relaxed Paul Molitor for a change here this afternoon.
Yeah, as we said, he hasn't had many of those. Thank you, Marty, for many games like this. Centeno, Buxton, and Nunez facing one of the catchers for the Rangers, Ryan Holiday. There's a floater up and away. 3-2. I think you're right. I think he's trying to mix a mid-70s fastball in with a knuckleball. It's hit to left center field, slicing away toward the gap. Oh, what a catch in center field. A tremendous play in the gap by Ryan Rua.
Well, we talked about Rua and his athletic ability, and that was a good read, good jump, good run. Had a good route to this ball. Centeno hits that ball, and it's tailing away from him, going towards the gap in left center. But he keeps his head on it. Extends, and it lands in his glove.
Here's Buxton, a couple of hits today, and he takes one on the outside corner. Holiday, the 10th different player. Another one floats over. 12 times the Rangers have used a pitcher or a position player to pitch in a game. Interesting that no one did it for the first 20 years of the franchise. I mentioned Jeff Kunkel. He did it twice against the Twins, once in '88. I guess it wasn't quite 20 years, 15 years anyway. Then again in '89 when Randy Bush hit the 3-run home run against him. Popped up near second base. And now 2 down. And so far, Holiday's been perfect. David Ortiz, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, all of baseball superstars come together for the primetime event that will light up the summer, the MLB All-Star Game from San Diego, July 12th, only on Fox. 2 down, and now here's Nunez, 4 for 4 with a sacrifice fly. Prior to Holiday doing it, Adam Rosales did it twice last year for the Rangers. And of course, the most notable Ranger to pitch in a game was Jose Canseco, who pitched in a ball game back in 1993 at Fenway Park, came into the game throwing knuckleballs.
Nunez. What's so funny?
Look at this.
Let's see what's so funny. He goes to his knees. Down goes Nunez.
0-2. And foul back. Just a little out in front.
Wasn't exactly a still head. Pretty much everything that could go wrong did in that swing.
2 strikes. And a little pop up right field. Anyway, Canseco came in, threw knuckleballs, and blew his arm out and had to go on the disabled list. But a very interesting outing for Holiday. Twins with 15 home wins this year. 5 of those have been walk-off wins, and Max Kepler did everything he could to make sure that there was no drama in this one, with 7 runs batted in and a pair of 3-run home runs. Kevin Jepsen hasn't finished a game for a while, and he'll have a chance to finish this one. It'll be his 33rd appearance of the year.
Not exactly the type of outing that Kevin thought he would appear in earlier in this game. He started out as the setup man for Glenn Perkins, who basically hasn't pitched for the Twins this year. He lasted a week and been on the DL since. Then Jepsen became the closer, and he's pretty much pitched in every spot in the bullpen now.
Andrus leading things off, and a fastball on the outside corner. To give you some idea, and maybe Jepsen's struggles this year symbolic of the team. You saw his opponent batting average .341 last year after coming over in the trade. Fly ball right center field. Kepler ranging over. 1 away. Last year, after coming over from Tampa in the trade, his opponent batting average was roughly half of that. I mean, this has been a horrible year for Jepsen, by far his worst. And the Twins are hopeful that he can somehow find the command of his secondary pitches that he had last year and salvage something out of the season. Last year, opponents hit .176 against him. Just gave up 7 walks and 1 home run. He was outstanding. And last year, the Twins needed him for the last 2 months of the year. Snap bat to Sano, 2 down. What's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. And Cole Hamels will go against Kyle Gibson, who, like Duffy, is hoping that he's unlocked the key to a successful second half. Hamels has been very good since the Rangers got him in July of last year. Here is Shin-Soo Choo. Regarding Jepsen, Twins needed him in the last 2 months last year because Perkins was hurt, and as you said, Glenn hasn't been able to pitch this year. The liner to left. Grossman is there, and the Twins comfortably defeat the Rangers to even up this series at a game apiece, and a lot of people contributed to the 17-run outburst.
No question, team effort. It was a great offensive day for the Twins, and kind of a nice one to have here at home. A breather, an easy win, if there is such a thing in baseball anymore. But Twins do win a game and have a chance to maybe win a series against the American League's best offense or best record team, the Texas Rangers.
Anthony, a fun day at the ballpark. Beautiful weather and a big day for Max Kepler.
7 runs batted in for the Minnesota rookie, including a pair of 3-run home runs. Twins win in one-sided fashion. We'll show you how Max Kepler took apart the Rangers. We'll hear from the manager, Paul Molitor, and we'll preview tomorrow's series finale. All coming up momentarily on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink.